Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Goblin Slayer TRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop role-playing game based on the popular fantasy series, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the lore of the setting, starting with the four-cornered world. This land, with its one red moon and one green moon hanging in the sky, is called the four-cornered world. It is thought that this world lies atop a giant square game board. Some even suggest it's a cube, like the side of a die. The four-cornered world's geography is many and varied. Vast seas, continents, islands, deserts, tundras, jungles, mountain ranges, volcanoes, the list goes on and on. Countless ancient ruins, remnants from a long age of warfare, dot the earth. So many nations have flourished and withered that it's hard to even understand the history of them all. Many forgotten structures lie sleeping with treasures and monsters alike, filling them to the brim. Our story is set on a certain continent in a certain kingdom, near the western border. In the kingdom's center is its capital, where a young king sits on his throne. Decorated for his service in the war 10 years ago, he ascended upon the previous king's death. It's difficult to call this kingdom quiet. Many days have passed since the last war, and even during the conflict, there was a strong desire for peace. The hunt for remnants of the Demon Lord's forces continues, and the rebuilding efforts from the war are still only half finished. In other words, the world is ripe for adventuring. Let's talk about the age of creation. Far, far in the past, when few stars shone, the gods warred. The gods of order on one side, the gods of chaos on the other. In a profoundly long battle, they struggled to gain control over the universe itself. They decided to roll the dice of fate and chance. Fate and chance were ultimate, and not even the gods could touch them. Thus, none of them could predict the result. But no matter how many times they rolled the dice, they never offered a conclusion. Eventually, the gods grew bored of this war, where they only rolled dice. They would just have to come up with a new way of fighting. A world on a game board, made for this new battle using dice, and many pieces on it to be used for the battle. They created the four-cornered world, and all those who lived on it. The gods came to an understanding, marshalling their forces in accordance with the rules, and so began the next stage, the Age of War. Nobody remembers much of this ancient era. It was a time of never-ending war between order and chaos. Many times, the world was closed off in darkness, yet each time, a light cut through the dark. Nothing but the general appearances of its different species separated the four-cornered world. It is said that this is because the gods created too many pieces for themselves. Forces grew, and armies were raised under a single banner. But this too was an endless battle with no visible end. The fight was long, severe, and grew more complex by the moment. And then a single warrior appeared. He was not but a playing piece. It is said he was a human warrior. However, he wanted to lead a small, elite team to assassinate the enemy's leaders. The gods grew enraptured at the actions of this hero, clad in shining chainmail. Here was a shocking story they'd never even imagined. The divine beings had forgotten about vying for control over the universe. As they rejoiced, despaired, and rejoiced again at their dice, the gods changed in a way they hadn't realized. The gods had come to helplessly love their pieces on the four-cornered world. Their pieces adventured, won, lost, lived happily ever after, and died. And with the gods so deeply absorbed, they learned what it was to have a heart. The gods swore to avoid interfering with the game board any more than was necessary. This was the Golden Contract, an agreement that respected the people's single most important right, free will. And so the Age of War came to an end, and came the Age of Magic. Until this point, magic had only been used for war. However, everything changed with the appearance of a certain sorcerer. This great sorcerer began a climactic war among magic users. The people of the world were widely excited by this. The gods too saw this situation and considered it dangerous. The sorcerer's war grew and intensified rapidly. Before long, it threatened to flip the four-cornered world if it persisted. Once again, however, a drastic change arose. The sorcerers decided to travel outside the four-cornered world. Perhaps the game board was too small for them to heighten their own abilities any further. The gods breathed a sigh of relief, and then they happily decided to start the next age, the Age of Adventure. This is the four-cornered world of the present. Every few years, a great threat appears, and nations are forced to deal with it. They send armies to fight, but there are things contingents of armed forces cannot do. Exploring labyrinths, bases, and conspiracies. That is the job for an adventurer. As long as we keep rolling the dice and going on adventures, the world will keep on turning. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to take a look at the species of this world. I like it how things are quite surrealistic. They combine that real aspect of the fiction with players actually being gods. The ones who are rolling the dice are actually the players, and the player characters are the beings, and the non-player characters, of course, as well. They are the creatures inhabiting the four-cornered world. So, fate and chance manifest through the dice rolls. And there is a lot of lore to explore. It is not particularly exhaustive, but this is the sort of lore that should have been included in the Konosuba role-playing game. In the case of this Goblin Slayer TRPG, it is quite impressive how they packed so much lore into a single volume. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.